Hi, my name is Marissa Stalling, and today I will be discussing the right to publicly breastfeed. What if you were asked to eat your meal in an unsanitary and probably smelly public restroom? Not too appealing, is it? Unfortunately, this request happens every single day in every part of the world. Women everywhere, regardless of age, race, or social standing, are shamed by complete strangers for feeding their child in public. But why such the backlash? What makes people so uncomfortable? I believe a large contributing factor in the opposition to public breastfeeding is knowledge about breastfeeding in general. Knowing the facts on why breastfeeding is so beneficial for both the mother and child may help lift the taboo. Society and the media has turned the idea of breast into such a sexual thing, many forget their purpose to begin with. I also believe that if the general public were more aware of the logistical pros and cons surrounding the need to breastfeed in public, it would create a better understanding. Besides the ignorance surrounding the act of breastfeeding, many people are also unaware that it is legal in every state, and over half of the states have specific laws protecting this right. As an expectant first-time mother, I feel strongly about the right to publicly breastfeed without shame. I hope to increase awareness and create new advocates for the rights of parents and babies alike. In order to break the taboo, we must first discuss why it is considered taboo to begin with. What is the reasoning behind the opposition towards public breastfeeding? While many feel that it must be solely men that have issues with it, that is unfortunately a very false assumption. Gabrielle Acevedo, a mother of two, was asked by a female flight attendant to nurse in the restroom of the plane. She said, "I would be more comfortable in the restroom." In this day and age, breasts are often associated more with sexual desire than for their natural function. No one bats an eye when a celebrity posts a nude photo exposing a bare breast, but the average woman is told to cover up when breastfeeding in a public place. The over-sexualization of breasts in today's society has subliminally affected men and women into thinking that a woman using her breast for anything other than attention or desire is impossible. In 2002, the California Women's Law Center staged a nurse-in with more than 70 breastfeeding mothers at the Santa Monica Place Mall after a mall security guard told a woman she was being indecent for nursing her infant in public. Besides some people seeing the act as indecent, some also just find it to be unsanitary. In 2001, a woman was asked to stop breastfeeding at a public pool because it violated public health codes and that they were afraid her milk might infect the pool water. There are also many logistical concerns that highlight the need to breastfeed publicly. The stress alone of finding a proper place to nurse for fear of negative stares and comments can affect a mother's milk supply over time. Also, mothers pressured into using bottles while in public causes them to have to pack additional supplies in diaper bags, as well as the stress of then trying to find a place in public to heat the bottles. Say a woman decides she must breastfeed instead of use a bottle. First, she must find a place to feed, all while carrying around a screaming child. Then, when she does find a public restroom, she naturally chooses the handicap stall to allow for more room. Say then a handicapped person comes into the restroom and then has to wait to use that stall until the mother is done. This fear of shaming has not only affected the mother and her child, but now also this other person. Another setback might be the mother's limitation in spending time with her older children. If she is constantly stepping out of the room to breastfeed, she is losing the ability to watch her children play in a park, pool, or sports field. So either the mother misses out or she must take the other children with her while she nurses. Caring for and feeding your child can be stressful enough without these additional burdens society feels that they have the right to place on mothers. In order to change these perceptions of breastfeeding in public, We must educate people on the benefits for mother and child. Let's start with some statistics about breastfeeding in general. Did you know that breastfeeding is associated with a lower risk of many health issues? The following statistics come from 2011. Mothers that breastfeed see a lower risk of breast cancer by up to 50%, ovarian cancer by 21%, type 2 diabetes up to 12%, and coronary heart disease by 37%. As for the child, breastfeeding lowers the risk of sudden infant death syndrome up to 50%, lower respiratory tract disease 72%, gastrointestinal infections 64%, type 1 diabetes up to 27%, type 2 diabetes 39%, leukemia up to 19%, asthma 27%, childhood obesity up to 30%, atopic dermatitis 42%, and acute ear infection 50%. While these numbers are astounding on their own, there's more. It is also estimated that the U.S. could save $13 billion and 911 lives annually on healthcare costs. Even with all this data, the U.S. has one of the lowest rates of breastfeeding among industrialized countries, even though it is a recommendation by both the American Academy of Pediatrics and the World Health Organization. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, followed by breastfeeding in addition to appropriate foods for 1 year or longer. The World Health Organization recommends exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, followed by an addition to appropriate foods for 2 years or longer. How can these goals be met when mothers are constantly shamed or made to look for a proper private place before they can nurse? Besides all the benefits for mother and child, public breastfeeding is a human right, plain and simple. It is a woman's right to feed her child, and it is a child's right to eat when hungry. It is also the right not to feel forced to feed in unsanitary conditions such as public restrooms. Another cause for concern has been women breastfeeding with no form of cover. Despite what some may think, this is likely because the child simply does not want to be covered with a blanket while eating. I believe that a child's right to eat is more important than your sense of discomfort. As a soon-to-be mother, I will feed my child when he is hungry because that is my duty as a mother and my right as a citizen. The opposition to public breastfeeding may always be somewhat present in our society, but we must never stop fighting for this right. Breastfeeding is one of the most beautiful and natural gifts you can give your child, and no other person should be allowed to make you feel shame for feeding your child when and where you need to. In order to gain more support for the cause, we must educate others on the many health benefits for mother and child, along with the many logistical benefits. It is a mother's right by law to feed her baby in public. I believe we need to educate future generations at a younger age to acknowledge the many benefits and hopefully gain a deeper appreciation for our givers of life. Thank you so much for listening.